is this your first like interview where you're the interviewee this year, or have you ever been
No,
interviewed?
I actually had more of these before I started podcasting, because I didn't originally intend on starting a podcast, but then it happened.
Благослови моих братьев, благослови наши руки. Мы в поисках больших денег, мы в деле круглые сутки. Благослови
That radio show, man, they everywhere.
Благослови моих братьев. Благослови моих братьев, благослови наши руки. Мы в поисках больших денег, мы в деле круглые сутки. Благослови моих братьев. Благослови моих братьев. Я скрутил себе потолще, я выдыхаю
The best jam I have ever eaten.
Oh wow.
I have that as a testimonial.
И не играй со мной свою роль. Со мной молодые братья. Мы возьмем котлеты наличных себе на завтрак. Сегодня-завтра, неважно как я. You, эй, yeah. Благослови моих братьев, благослови наши руки, мы в поисках больших.
All right, everybody, you tuned into the Banked Out Radio Show. Okay, that's my chair squeaking, so disregard that noise. But I have guests joining us via Zoom today. We have Miss Zen Ase.
Yes.
Ase.
Yes.
Okay, see, I don't, for some reason, I don't know. I like when I hear the pronunciation, but I see the spelling is a little different. But you're a woman of many talents. I printed off your bio. What I do with it? Oh, here it is. So what group was that in that I saw? I'm sure you're a part of a lot of Facebook podcast groups, aren't you?
I think I'm a part of 4.
Okay. I can't remember which one I saw you in, but I was going through your bio and I was like, that's why I hit you up. Like, you know what? I think this would be a very interesting guest. But let's see here. So just a couple of things for the audience. One, Teacher of the Year 2 times. That's extremely dope. And I wonder what are the parameters like? How do teachers get Teacher of the Year?
It's a nomination thing. So
Okay.
your peers nominate you.
Okay.
So I was actually nominated 6 times. I won twice.
Oh, wow.
So basically your peers nominate you. Well, in our district, your peers nominate you, then you have to go through all the requirements, attendance, there's a whole list of like 7-8 requirements you have to meet. And then if you pass that, there's a board that you go in front of where they narrow it down to 3. And then everyone, all the teachers in the school and the faculty in the school get to vote on those 3 people. And they put a little bio up. They put a little poster, put a little bio up underneath your picture. And then the people get to vote electronically.
Okay.
And that's how our system is for Teacher of the Year.
Okay. So one is dope. But then also you're a best-selling Amazon author, which I think you're the first one on my platform to be a bestseller Amazon author. You're a spoken word artist. You also have your own podcast, and I'm sure you have a few more things that I was sitting there writing down. I don't know, like if you were to see my desk, it's like cluttered. Because I do so many different things, and I know this as a person in podcasting, and I saw that at least on Spotify, you're in the hundreds with your episodes. So like what, 150 or something like that?
I think I did 109. I think 109 or 110 is my last
I gave you some.
You gave me some. Yeah.
But still though, but even just like hitting okay, so do you know like podcast stats? Are you familiar?
I know that very few of us reach the hundreds. I'm not sure what the stat is.
Yeah. Okay. So the last time I saw the stats, this was a few months back. So there's over 4 million podcasts, like 2.4 million are on Apple. Of those, only 400,000 had put out an episode within the last 90 days. And then of that, only 200,000 have put out an episode within the last 10 days. So there's no, 200 plus thousand active podcasts, and that encompasses all genres, niches, topics, whatever the case may be. So to hit that 100 episode mark, congratulations.
Thank you.
Because I know how much work you put into your podcast. I can tell just by listening to it and you hitting that 100 episode mark. So a lot of people jump into it thinking that it's this fun thing to do and don't realize that. I'm like, you got to treat it like a business, and you'll get the business results. Treating it like a hobby, you'll get your hobby results. And a lot of people quit. So I guess so take us and give us your background as far as like you were saying earlier that you were a guest on other people's platform, podcasts, things of that nature. So why were you being booked as a guest, and then how did you transition into a podcast? And we'll get into other stuff as well.
Well, I guess I started being interviewed because I'm a spoken word artist, and people had seen me perform. They liked my poetry. They wanted to kind of know my journey to becoming a spoken word artist. And so that was how some of the first interviews that I had, which were on podcasts. And then later, I became as a poet, spoken word artist. I was an activist also. So I became the head of the Houston organizer for 100,000 Poets for Change, which is like an artivism group. So basically, I put out a lot of, okay, here's a food drive over here, here's a blood drive over here, here's a walk for domestic violence, here's this, that, and the other, here's this, artist doing this. So I'm a kind of I send out a lot of information social media wise to try to promote activism, artivism, things that are going on in the community that people need to know about. And so I started getting interviewed because of that, especially when certain things would happen. There would be tragedies. And we'd be like, we need to reach out to the Houston organizer for, so I got actually interviewed in Russia because of that. And it was very interesting. So people just
how was the language barrier on that?
There was actually no language barrier. It was a cable show called my mind just went blank. It was like Real Time or Real Talk or something like that. But the show was RT, so you can look it up, like RT is like the network. It's a cable network. And so they actually spoke great English and had me on their news program, in Russia, which was, I was like, whoa, okay. Yeah. Never even been to Russia, but my face is on the screen.
Yeah, exactly. And it just shows you that your work is impactful and that it reaches. And I think some people forget that, the internet has basically opened up the floodgates for opportunity for a lot of different stuff to go on. And the fact that you was putting out content that's has value to it. Because, a lot of people start stuff and it's more about entertainment value and what's trending, and sometimes, the negative concepts and stuff. But I love hearing about positive stuff, and then activism and
artivism. Artivism, yes.
Artivism. Because I'm a huge advocate for arts and activism as well, and community. So I definitely.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, I do a lot of that as well. Here where I am in Macon, Georgia, which is like central Georgia. I don't know if you're familiar with Georgia, but we're like an hour and a half south of Atlanta. Which actually interesting fact. You were saying Houston, we have a county that has the same spelling, Houston, but it's not pronounced that way. It's pronounced Houston. So that's a funny thing, because when I first got down here, it started scoping out the area and stuff, and people kept saying, "No, you don't say that. Like Houston, you say it's pronounced Houston. It's the same spelling." But I know that. Okay, so how long have you had your platform as far as like the podcast?
Well, I didn't finish answering your question, which actually what happened with me going into podcasting. I had been doing live comedy, music, and poetry shows for 2 years when quarantine happened. Okay. And we had built up an audience, we had built up a following, and then of course all live shows stopped. And everyone had been telling me, you have such a great voice, you should do podcasts. I had no idea what a podcast was. I had never listened to one. But then when quarantine happened, I said, okay, I got to do something to keep my audience. I've worked for 2 years to get an audience. I don't want to lose them. They don't know me as the head of 100,000 Poets for Change. They just know me as a spoken word artist and a performer. So what am I going to do? And then I was like, okay, I should do a podcast. What am I going to talk about? And that's the idea came that I wanted to talk about what we still had, that quarantine didn't take away from us, racism didn't take away from us, unemployment couldn't take away from us, Trump couldn't take away from us because he was president at the time.
Yeah.
What we still had and what we could still develop that was intrinsic and was within our control. So I developed a self-development podcast. And so I've had the platform for 2 years since quarantine, going into my 3rd year, because I started around September of 2020.
Okay. So have you witnessed or gone through this experience where like you're putting out all this information, right? And people are interviewing and stuff like that, then you present your platform. So now do people like look at you a little differently because your face is out there or your voice is out there a lot? You have a following, which I saw like, I think some of your numbers, and I think 1 month you said you did like 35,000 or something like that.
Yeah, when it comes to downloads, my downloads are always less than like my views on other social media. Like if I put clips and stuff out, the clips, for some reason, people watch clips all the time. They don't listen to the hour-long podcast or 35-minute podcast.
People's attention span is like,
Right. So yeah, so there was a month that I had 35,000 basically listens to the clips and stuff that I had put out. And I was like, okay, that's a really good month,
Yeah.
So yes. Do people react to me differently? I have quarantine for me. It pushed me out of my comfort zone. So the podcast was the first of that. And then the podcast led to people saying, teach me how to journal. You talk about journaling all the time. That led to my first book. Then a second book. Where's your poetry book? Where's your poetry book? Then I led to a poetry book. So every time I, in a sense, reinvent myself, people look at me a little differently. But that has never bothered me because I like evolving. I like growing. I like feeling like people, well, I don't know what to expect from her next. She's doing this, she's doing that. What is she? Is she this? Is she that? Is she? I'm everything.
Yeah. No, that's what I tell people. I've been podcasting since 2016. And like last year I did 100 interviews. That was my goal. That's what I wanted to do. And then I reached that goal. That was a lot of work. I would say like 80% of them were in person. And then, probably about 70%. I also did it where, like right now via Zoom with a few folks all over the country. Had my first international interview last year with a lady in Jamaica, a doctor down there, and that was pretty cool. A lot of different people doing a lot of different things, and you get to learn a lot about everything that's going on. And the fact that, you become like this pillar in the community where people can turn to you as a source of information as long as you built up that trust. And they start like calling and stuff like that. Hey, do you know this person? Or do you know this person? Which is amazing in itself. So like you use your platform to like, help branch out other things. So I'm sure you use it to help push your poetry and then your books and stuff like that. Are you setting goals now? Because you said you're in your 3rd year. So are you actually setting goals of what you want to hit, or?
I have, that's a very interesting question because at the moment, I have no goals for the podcast at the moment. Okay. And the reason why is because tomorrow is actually my last day as a high school teacher. I'm actually retiring.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So my focus right now is on my next reinvention. So I'm still, of course, going to keep going with the podcast and everything, but I'm just kind of trying to see where things are going to settle. Am I going
Mhm.
to go full time as an entrepreneur? Because I'm considering that. Am I
Mhm.
going to go into, another field? So it's like I
Mhm.
have all of these possibilities.
Mhm.
Um, and I've already been hired as a workshop consultant for Right Space
Mhm.
Houston, but that's like I'm doing maybe a workshop for them every 2 months, so that's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah. It's not a full-time thing.
it's
Yeah.
not a full-time thing. So, but yeah, so right now with the podcast, it's like I need to go back and repurpose a lot of my material because
Mhm.
my YouTube, I told you I'm like at episode 109. I think my YouTube is like at episode 40. I
Oh,
haven't put
you got a lot of material.
right. I got to put out like so many episodes. I have the
Uh-huh.
episode. It
Yeah.
just hasn't been uploaded with the show notes and all that stuff. So there's
Mhm.
a lot of catching up to do. My clips are probably at episode 40.
Mhm.
Um, so there's I guess you could say my goal is to maybe catch up the podcast,
Mhm.
continue to do interviews, but
Mhm.
try to consistently catch up the YouTube and the clips
Yeah.
with where the podcast is now,
Mhm.
which will actually get me more downloads and followers because there's a lot of people haven't heard. Like I said, a
Mhm.
lot of people don't go to Spotify or Pandora or wherever you have it unless they see the clip. Oh, I want to see the rest of that episode, so they'll
Mhm.
go. So it'll end up,
Yeah.
recycling people back through and getting me more
It
listeners.
does. It
Yeah.
does.
So
Yeah, I have, let's see, over the course of almost 7 years now, I would say close to maybe 800, 1,000, something like that. And when I first started, I was like audio only, right? And I
mm,
was using, I don't know if you ever heard of blogtalk.com. It was a server where you can call in and based off the plan that you have, people can call in, interact with you, you can play music and all that stuff, whatever, and it would record onto the server. So I used it for a few years and got that built up to where I had not only my audience here in Georgia and then in the United States, but then also international because I had French artists sending me music and Japan, all sorts of places, Africa. And it's amazing, like again, with the internet, it goes everywhere. Once you put it on the internet, it can go anywhere. It has a possibility to go anywhere. And then the server started acting up or whatever, stopped recording my actual episodes. So I was losing
wow.
them. Yeah. But when I finally discontinued that, I erased 400 and some episodes off of that alone. Uh-huh. I didn't want to download them all. So I was like, ugh, let me, because I had switched to video and I love video. I love video because I always strip the audio. So like I did an interview the other day with an artist. I stripped the audio from the video and just put it on, I distribute through Anchor. And of course, they send it to like Apple and Spotify and all that or whatever. And anything I want to add to it, I got like editing software for audio side as well. So I just put that in there and then I just upload the file or whatever and send it out. And it's amazing to know that one, my audience like stayed with me.
Mm,
So I have like two audiences. I have a visual audience that like Facebook and YouTube and Instagram clips and all that. But then I have a audio audience that it goes everywhere. It's in like 18, 20 countries now. And I don't even have to really promote the episode anymore. I just upload them. But I had so many of them, and I didn't want to like do all the work. So I just started when I got my camera and stuff, started stripping the audio. And I have like you said, playing like catch up. And I don't think people realize the magnitude of work it is. Out of those 100 episodes that I did last year, I'm looking at my board right now. I wrote them all on my board. Um, I probably have to upload at least 80 of them. And, as I upload them, my numbers because I went 9 months without uploading an episode audio.
mm,
I still had the visual. I
mhm.
just didn't have the audio. And people like to consume stuff, differently. So I got to go through and put all that content on there. And then of course, like now I've gotten my platform to the point to where I've signed two other hosts. So they do interviews and formats. And then I got like was it 4 shows that I'm working on right now simultaneously to put out this year. So production has really become the focal point in my arena. Um, is that something that you think you might work on? Because I'm like, now you have audio editing skills, right? Because you put that out. And then also like lending that service. Have you thought about lending that service to other podcasters who need it?
No, I do know how to edit audio and video, but I actually hired someone to do it because if you watch my video podcast, sometimes you'll see me look over, at the camera, and I'll say, hey, my cameraman, whatever. So I actually he's got his board out, he sets up the mics and does all that stuff. So he does all of my editing now. He's been doing my editing for quite a while. Maybe I think I did some of my editing for the first 2 or 3 months, something like that. But after that, I let him do it.
Like, I just want to be talented. I just want to show up.
Yeah. So this is going on over 1.5 years of me very rarely editing anything. Normally, if I edit something, it's because it's last minute. He didn't have time to do it. I want to edit it real quick and put it out because of some event coming up or something. Because pretty much otherwise, I let him do it. Because that's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. That's a lot of it's. I'm going into voiceover. So I'm going to actually set up my studio and have my own equipment, later on this year. So that's one of my goals. And I will do it then. But right now, no, I'm not going to do it.
No, I definitely understand. Now, I love the fact that you outsource. Because I think sometimes we get so caught up in our own little world of wanting to do everything, but doing everything slows us down as far as like putting out content and all that. And it can seem like we're not making strides or hitting markers, because in order to compete and grab people's attention, we got to be consistent. In order to have consistency, we got to have a progress of workflow. So let's switch over to, how did you become a best-selling Amazon author? Like, what was that process?
So first thing was deciding that you want to be a bestseller. You really have to have a mindset. It's a lot of work. So I saw one of my fellow poets who had released a poetry book, and she hit the bestsellers list. And I was like, okay, I'm going to reach out to her editor, because I know there's a process. There's a way to do everything to get results. So of course I could have, anyone can go to Amazon, KDP, or Ingram and upload their stuff for free. So, but I wanted to actually have people read my book and not just have it out there. So I reached out to her editor, who's now my editor. And I said, okay, I have this book. I've actually written it. I did a beta version of the book because I wanted to make sure that it would sell. So I actually sold 200 copies of the beta version before I actually reached out to the editor. And for indie authors, 200 is what the majority indie authors sell in a lifetime. If an indie author sells 5,000 books, that's like massive, So I was like, okay, I've already sold 200, so I've already hit the lifetime achievement for most indie authors. I want to repurpose this. I'm gonna get a professional cover done, because I did the cover in Canva. I want you to look at it. And I want you to, what did you do to get her on the bestsellers list? I want you to do that for me. And she was like, I can tell you what to do. She's like, I'm going to give you a list. It's going to take you at least 30 days to do it. It's a lot of work, but if you do it, she was like, the last 7 people I gave this list to, they all hit the bestsellers list. And I was like, okay, it didn't take me 30 days. It took me like 90 days to do that list. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work. But the first book that I did was a guided journal. And this is actually the book, Zen Ase Your Life.
Okay.
And this book debuted at number 9 in New Thought, Mind, Body, and Spirit. And it stayed on the Amazon bestsellers list in that category for about 45 days. Now, 2 things I could just tell you right off the bat is you want to niche down. We know that as a podcaster. So I could put this in, let's say I could have put this in self-development. That's a huge niche. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
it
huge.
is.
I could put it in self-help. That's huge.
Mhm.
That means I'm going to be competing against every other person in self-help or self-development. I didn't put it there. I put it in what was called New Thought, which is the same category The Secret is. New Thought is the idea
Okay.
that your affirmations,
Uh-huh.
your mindset can change your reality. That's a much smaller category. So I'm not going to be competing with 50 million books. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is try to find the smallest niche that Amazon will let you put it in, because Amazon only has so many niches. So when you go into their KDP platform, you want to look and you want to just look and see what's the smallest niche that fits my book. And you want to put it there. And you get to pick 2 to 3 categories. You want to pick 2 to 3 of the smallest ones you can that fit your book. So that's one thing to help you be a best-selling author. And then you want to do a book launch. So we did a book launch. We did a 30-day book launch. We actually started we started way before that, because like I said, it took me 90 days to do her list. So we started at least 90 days out. But you want to do a book launch and you want to be posting about your book every other day, even though it's not even available. You want to, I created bookmarks for my book, and I went and I handed out bookmarks to everybody, had my QR code on the back where it's like, coming soon, here's the cover of the book, here's like a little blurb about the book, it's got my QR code where they'll be able to order it as soon as it's available, and it didn't have any dates on there because we weren't sure what, we had a projected date, but it just coming soon. And you want to be posting like every other day for those 30 days. You want to create flyers, you want to create, she helped me with a lot of that. Of course, I was paying her to do that, but to create interesting flyers, to create to tap into people's, their desires. You got to solve a problem. You got to tap into people's desires. My niche for this was, people want clarity, people want peace, people want to de-stress. One way to do that is an easy way to do that, is to journal. This is not a huge journal. This is 29 pages. Most of the guided journals out there, they're very repetitive and they don't include anything but journaling. This one actually has a place to put movies and books and role models and affirmations, and it's got all kind of scrapbooking. So it's very, if you like movies, it's got a place where you can write about the movies and help you with your goals. It's got, it's got a lot of different things in there that I've never seen in a guided journal, because we don't just learn through journaling. You know what I mean? We learn through a lot of things. So you want to also, what differentiates you as an author, as a book, what differentiates you? So those are things. So like I said, do a book launch, create an email list, tell everybody get them all to buy on the same day. You've got to have them buy on the same day, because generally, depending on the niche, you have to sell about 200 books in 24 hours to hit the bestsellers list. So you got to tell everybody
That's a lot of nuggets right there that you sit there and spoke about, because I think I interviewed at least about 9 or 10 self-publishing authors last year, and that information right there alone would help them, especially like you said, creating a system where everybody's purchasing on the same day, and you start popping up on my list because your sales will hit that report within that time period. And then that gets you notoriety, I would imagine, and it gets you more popularity.
Well, the reason why you want to hit the bestsellers list is Amazon has a ticker. Okay. So if you hit the bestsellers list, you start to go across that ticker. That means that people who aren't even looking for you will go and look at your book and sometimes click buy, especially if, for me, I did Kindle Unlimited also. Even though this is a guided journal, there are people who can look at it on their Kindle and decide to write, in a separate journal. So if you do Kindle Unlimited free, there's a lot of people that will buy I get paid even though it's free, for the person. right?
Because
Because
it's a subscription,
it's a
right?
subscription, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that will go, oh, hey, I haven't gotten a Kindle book. This is something. Hey, I haven't done a guided journal. It's free,
Mm-hmm.
So that's a whole nother way to do it. Is you could have people, hey, if you got Kindle Unlimited, just get my book. You know what I'm saying? Get my book. And then it's not costing them anything except their credit for that month, and so you're going to get, again, that money, but you're also going to end up ticking across Amazon. And so, but you got it that first day. I mean, whatever day you say is the day, you got to get everybody by on that day.
Yeah.
And then there's also a benefit while you're a new release for about 60 days. It depends, 30 to 60 days. Because I've put out 4 books now, and it seems like it's different. But you're going to be in the new release.
Yeah.
So again, you're only competing with the people that are new releases at that time. Because once you come out a new release, you compete with everybody. So your rank is going to just fall.
Yeah, it's going to fall. Yeah.
It's going to fall. So again, if you can once you get it going, it's like a podcast, like anything else, you got to keep pushing it. So during the book launch, I was posting like every other day. After that, I was probably posting once a week. Hey, here's a review. Take pictures. If you're an author, every time you sell a book in person, take a picture of that person, post it. Thank you so and so for buying my book. I'm so excited.
Yeah, it increases the momentum.
Yeah.
So as a creator then, right, how do you balance between what you want to do then? Because you still do the spoken word, I imagine, and you're still advocating. But then you're also, like you said, you sold 4 books now, and then you're still doing your podcast.
That is a question I'm always it seems to be like a seesaw. There are times when people are booking me a lot for spoken word, so that's my focus. And then there are times when people are coming and filling out my little jot form to get on the podcast, so that's my focus. And then there's times when I want to do a book signing, because I haven't done a whole lot with the book recently, so that's my focus. And so it just seems to teeter-totter. But also what I do when I do reels, a lot of times I combine things. I put the flyer for the next podcast with the book cover, and the next picture is my spoken word flyer that's coming up that event. So there's a lot of times when people see me, or they see reels, or they see stories, and they're like, when do you sleep?
I get that question a lot, all the time. I'm gonna see like some of the stuff I've done, like, because I do skits. And actually, I was gonna ask you this too. Has your IP been used for anything? So like your book, has anybody used it for skits or anything like that? Or
not that I've ever seen. I've never seen anybody do. I mean, that would be great. I would love, because this book would be the best one for skits. This book is called Plenty of Guppies and Other Dating Misadventures, Lust, Loss, and Lessons of Love from 101 Dates, a memoir in poetry and prose. So this is a memoir. Everything in here is true. And 7 years, I actually went on 147 dates. So all of the guys, 101 are in the book. There's a little icon.
They might have to order your books now, because, okay, so just to let you know, like, I can do the Zen one too, though. I have this character called 31 Savage, right? And the character is because I have other businesses. So one of my other businesses is a hemp-based company called The Cook Shop, where I sell hemp-based products that are natural for, different remedies, whether it be pain, inflammation, whatever the case may be. And, because Facebook and Instagram keeps trying to correlate hemp with weed, they block me from running ads, because I would just run ads and I know I'll make my money that way as well. Because, X amount of people would see it and buy it or whatever, and therefore conversion. So I created a character called 31 Savage, and he's like a 7th place Frisbee champion. Yeah. And he's very arrogant about being 7th place. He doesn't want to be number 1. 7th place is where it's at. And, like one of the taglines is like, anyone could be number 1, but it takes a real champion to be number 7. So he does all these different things that he's done. He's endorsed by like and sponsored by the Cook Shop and Make That Radio Show. But the character has grown. The character arch has grown to where now he interacts with a lot of other businesses. And there's like 60 something videos that I have on YouTube of just, the life and adventure of 31 Savage. And I know that I can use that book and turn it into skits. Because I've done it with other artists and stuff, authors, where I had a young lady who actually is one of the writers who helps write some of the skits. She wrote a book, and 31 Savage was reading the book to kids. And then as he's reading the book, he starts talking about himself to the kids about being a 7th place champion. They're like, what? Oh, we're supposed to be reading this book and learning about this book. So it goes into that whole dynamic. But the Zen, I know I could do this. So yeah, I'm gonna have to order your books.
Well, probably the best two would be, I do have a children's book called You Are Wanted and Loved Because You're You. And then the other one I showed you. Now, the first 7 chapters of my memoir are actually on my podcast. You actually could listen to that. I can actually send you that flyer so you'll see the episodes. So you can actually listen to the first 7 chapters. I'm still working on the audio is recorded. It's not edited.
yeah. Which is, so, it's another job, what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, it's a job. And like I said, even though I have somebody working with me, that's still a lot. That's 19 chapters of audio. That's still gonna take a while. So but
I'm gonna do that because I like to support and stuff too. So I'm gonna definitely go there and get your books. So is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about, or did I miss anything?
Well, I definitely am an advocate for wellness and self-care and self-worth, self-love. So, I definitely would encourage your audience, this is January, everybody's in a new year, new me kind of mode, but even after January to really love on yourself, to really take care of yourself, to believe in yourself, and to find rituals and routines that help you to live your best life. Because, especially as people of color, we have so much bombarding us, so much negativity. I feel like if you don't have a daily practice of putting something positive in, you're going to get dragged down into negativity. So just finding things that work for you, and that's one reason why I have the guided journal. I actually just released a planner. This is my 4th book that actually has like self-care in it. It's not just about agendas and calendars. No, it's about, how are you doing today? How are you doing? Let's check in on you. And
those are questions that I'm a owner in a private counseling business. Now, I'm not a therapist by any stretch of imagination. I do not have those qualifications. But because I've been around them so long, that's like, one of the questions that they actually ask, like, really dive into, like, how are you feeling today? How are you doing? What's your, where you are mentally? Because if you can control the mental, you can control the physical. And, they relate to one another. And I love the fact that, self-care is being pushed a lot. Mental health is being pushed a lot. Because, back in the day, it's like taboo topics and stuff like that. So I'm glad that it's gotten the recognition that it's gotten, but I don't want it to stop. And I want people to realize, you can have the quality of life that you want to have, and not get caught up with like all the rigor and, just the daily grind that people like should always be doing this, doing that, doing that, doing that. No, take a breath. Approach it like, quality over quantity. That's what I tell folks all the time. Quality over quantity, because it lasts. But let everybody know, how can they get in contact with you if they want to be a guest. And one other thing I wanted to point out. I love on your jot form that people can submit an audio sample. I thought that was pretty cool. I have not ran across that yet. So that's I don't know if that was like your innovative idea or you got it from somewhere else, but it's definitely I think that's cool. Because a lot of people don't understand podcasts and it being a new media and everything, and just having to like bring their personality to the podcast. There's been some dry interviews I've done in the past. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, come on, where's your personality?
Yeah.
Let people know, how can they listen, how can they support by the books if they're in the where are you in Texas?
I am right outside of Houston in a place called Springs. So I'm like 10 minutes outside of North Houston.
Okay, so if they're in the Houston metro area and Springs area,
Right.
if they want to come out and listen to spoken word and all that stuff, or if they want to book you, and have you appear internationally.
Awesome. Well, I do have a link tree, and I'll send you that. So it's basically https://link.ee/Zen Ase Zenase. If you go to my Facebook page, Instagram, is that link tree is there, so you can find me. If you Google Zen Ase Zenase, that's 2 words. I will pop up like my face and all this different stuff. If you want my books, you can just put in Zen Ase books. So Zenase books, or put a apostrophe S on it if you want. All my books are on Amazon. A couple are on barnesandnoble.com. So you can find the books there. I am performing on the 3rd, on the 4th. So I'll have those flyers out on my page. And then I have several other performances coming up. I'm actually vending on the 21st. If you're in the Houston area at the Shrine of the Black Madonna, they have a vending there from 11 to 5. So I will have my books. I have oils. I sell, Afrocentric earrings. I sell affirmation necklaces. I'm not wearing one right now. Affirmation cards, manifestation boxes. I sell a lot of different things, so
I definitely get it.
Yeah, so I will be vending on the 21st, so this Saturday. So, but if people find me, if you just Google Zen Ase, you can pretty much find me. The podcast is called Zenergy, Zennurgy, and that's a word I made up, which means the urge for more peace and fulfillment in life. So I believe everybody's looking for peace and fulfillment. And I believe that small changes can lead to big results. So Zenergy is all about working A to Z concepts, that if you apply this concept in a systematic way, then you can make small changes that lead to big results. So things like having an abundance mentality, being in alignment, having boundaries, taking control of the things that you can take control of. So those are like, we're going through the ABCs, you see. So you can listen to it. We talk about our personal journey, our struggles. We talk about books that have helped us. So it's very practical. I'm not telling you about some theory somebody has. I'm telling you what happened, what worked. So because that's what people need. They need stuff that actually works and that other people have done. Because it's nice to say, well, it should work this way, but no, it doesn't really work that way. So
I definitely love it. Well, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. And I'll have all that information as well listed on the edited side. So everybody out there, y'all make sure y'all check it out and go to that link tree address, and everything pops up. I'm like, it's all there. I've been to it. So thank you for your time, your energy, and your expertise. I definitely going to keep tabs on you, see how you're progressing along.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. And everybody out there, if you have not, y'all make sure y'all go ahead and y'all can download that Bank That Radio Show app. And I appreciate everybody following the page.
Братьев благослови наши руки, мы в поисках больших денег, мы в деле круглые.